All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Rakugo, Season 1, Episode 9.
Oh boy.
All right. So we've got Yakumo having accepted the fan keepsake token from Sukeroku.
Yep.
Who Sukeroku got from his previous master.
Sukeroku.
Who was also the apprentice to the Yakumo before the current Yakumo, making, in some ways, this whole story having repeated itself again, potentially, and again into the future with, this is just dripping with characters interweaving and stuff like that. The spider web is too real. So
the tension and the drama is so thick you could cut it with a knife.
You couldn't cut it with a knife.
You couldn't cut it with a knife.
Yeah, that's that's how it be.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got our boy Bon Yakumo. He's doing what he can to try and, I would say, just kind of steal himself, but he still has to have that conversation with Miyokichi. Will he do it?
And what will it look like? How will that conversation actually go? Will he truly be vulnerable about it, or will it still be another, set of layers and masks for her own good? Yeah.
There's also a basic bit of assumption made that he'll actually have the conversation.
Right, yeah.
Again. So, why put off to tomorrow, which you can not do ever? So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that... Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I feel like most of the stuff that happened this episode is stuff that we expected would happen, but... now we're seeing it happen, right? Which is the painful part. Right.
It's basically the stuff to where because we're getting so close to the end, I would say, of the for the backstory, essentially, we are getting closer and closer to things that we knew had to happen.
Right. So everything's starting to converge back.
Right. Things like Miyokichi getting pregnant, and that's obviously Konatsu. Things like, Yakumo Bon essentially breaking up with Miyokichi, and then she gets with Sukeroku. Right. Sukeroku and her have a baby. Time skips happen. Miyokichi has a bit of a confrontation moment of where she felt like she was being talked down to by Bon.
Yeah.
And then she like pushes back and stands up and kind of towers over him and starts saying all these spiteful, vindictive things of in her pain what she's feeling right now. Things like, I'll see you in hell, that's the next time I'll see you. I will have my revenge, and
I'll haunt you.
I'll haunt you until you die.
Oh man, and what I love about that line in particular is that we know that she does haunt him, and it's Konatsu. Yeah. So everything that's set up in this is. It's just, all right, the ball's rolling, it's not going to stop, and here we go. Yeah.
All the stuff with Yakumo and the teacher.
Yep.
This is something that I really want to bring up here, is you see more and more as Bon is becoming more and more of I would say, the one who will act for the masters in some ways. He'll do the kind of the things that they kind of want him to do, expect him to do, so that he can end up, moving up and becoming a Shinuchi, which is what they both became in the beginning of this episode. But very quickly, do we see how the personality and the, I would say, the callous kind of, how would I say it? Almost brazen behavior of Sukeroku is one that overshadows, in their mind, his actual natural ability.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting, because it's the representation of, okay, this is why Rakugo is failing.
Right.
You have someone who is better than all the other ones there, and doing, instead of what they should be doing, which is what the Yakumo is said he would do, is you give all this teaching and stuff to the younger generation, and you pass it down to them asking nothing in return.
Right.
And yet...
Except they're not.
Because what they actually want is they want their ego and their pride specifically to be stroked on their way out so that they feel like, see guys, look what I made over here.
Right. It's a little mini me. Yeah. Uh-huh. And they're going to do great things.
And even more so, I wanted to bring up the thing that I brought up at the end of the episode with the ED and stuff, is that I think the Yakumo, in this case specifically, doesn't want someone who does Rakugo like him, which is what Sukeroku does. But in terms of person, he especially doesn't want someone like him. The kind of person who cheats on his wife. The kind of person who actually, like, kind of doesn't really have everything all put together. You know, he wants someone who's, like, perfect and someone he can kind of, like, this pristine, beautiful one.
Because he wants someone similar to himself with the good qualities that he was always insecure about whether he had them or not about the bad qualities that he knows he does have. Right. Because in the case of our Yakumo Kiku, right? He's got the manners, he's got the poise, he's got the refinement and everything to make people look at him and say, wow, that's a great upstanding Rakugo, performer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas with Sukeroku is better at Rakugo.
Yeah,
right?
He's a performer. Yeah, he's a natural performer.
Right. He's a natural performer. Doing one of the most complicated, performances
off the cuff.
Right? Without practicing it, thinking about it. Just being like, you know what, I'm going to do that right before he actually steps on the stage.
Memorized it from when he would watch the previous Yakumo as a kid.
Right.
Way back in the day.
And that's what blows me away is that he said that to his master, the Yakumo. He's like, I learned this from watching you.
Because you did it amazingly well.
You did it, and you did an amazing job.
It was a masterpiece.
Yeah, and yet all of that positive reinforcement meant nothing once he said something that touched on his master's, like, basically insecurities. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's personal, right?
Yeah.
And this guy that stood by him and defended him and all that stuff and convinced the masters and the president and all that stuff to make him the Shinichi, right? Shinichi.
I kept saying it too.
Yeah. It's, thinking of Parasite and whatnot.
Yeah.
But he did that for Sukeroku, right? He went against the river. He went against the current. And once it became something that seemed a little bit personal, right? You're out of here, kid.
You're dumped.
Yeah. And what I hate about this, and I love it because it's so real, right?
Yeah.
Is the idea that then he's saying, if only Sukeroku would learn, if only Sukeroku would come apologize, if only Sukeroku would fix everything, then it could be great. I'm not in the wrong here.
I don't need to do anything.
It's all his fault. Yeah.
Yeah. Am I out of touch? No, it's the kids that are out of touch.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Straight up. And the thing is that he's not even listening to the idea that Sukeroku said, "I love your Rakugo." Yeah. Right. That inspired me. Mm-hmm. I want to save Rakugo, and I think it needs to be done a bit differently, right?
Right.
Which, because his whole journey here has been thinking, I need to be the one to save Rakugo, but I don't think I'm up to it. I'll bring along these kids. Oh, these kids actually do seem to have what it takes. Wait, but they're not going to do it the way that I was trying to do it that was failing? Wait, what? That can't happen.
Well, I don't think he determines that Rakugo is failing. This is the part that I think is a little bit tricky to gauge. Yeah. Is that while he might see Rakugo, I say, as fine, what he's also seeing maybe is that there are specific people who are in his care, these two boys here, who are bringing crowds to their Rakugo because it's good.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's really tough about teaching specifically is that you truly know, I would say, when you're a master of something is when you can teach it, right?
Sure.
Like that's once you've figured out like you've got something good here. In terms of what he's taught specifically the two of them, it's what got them, I would say, to like Futatsume basically. But definitely the things that brought in the crowds actually, I would say he didn't teach any of that to Sukeroku.
Yeah.
Sukeroku learned that from his previous teacher of the theater in terms of how to be a performer. That's not something I would say that, he taught him. There were specific things that he absorbed like a sponge in terms of memorizing the Rakugo itself.
Yes, right.
But as for how he performed said Rakugo,
he very much did it his own way.
He did it his own way.
Yeah.
And conversely, we have Kiku here, our current Yakumo, who did learn this, but still hasn't found his own Rakugo. Now, I would say that according to the master here, according to the old master, he said, yeah, it's still some time, so you'll be able to find your own Rakugo by then. Now, I want to bring up something here that I think is kind of pointed with that. Is that if he's saying that, that means he's either not really teaching Kiku really much anymore, because in my opinion Kiku did find his own Rakugo.
Right.
But the way he found it was actually listening to Sukeroku, who told him that, hey, it's not about actually having all the Rakugo styles figured out. It's about finding your niche in a certain area where you can bring out that best part of yourself. That's the performer, basically, right there. And this is, instead of you playing a character, this is just you just being yourself up on stage. And what's great about that is then, yes, the current Yakumo has totally failed, because both of his students, his only... I'd say his last students, the way he described it was he might have had some before these two. They're going to have their own styles of Rakugo, and that's something that you didn't really teach them.
Well, and that when he says find your own style of Rakugo, it's almost like he's saying you find your own path as long as it's the one that's, that we appreciate. As long as it fits in the cookie cutter.
I was going to bring that up too. Yeah. Basically, the hypocrisy stink of, we like you to find your own style of Rakugo. And then Sukeroku's like, I found my own style of Rakugo. Yeah!
Shut up! Ew. I feel like there's a more adequate meme template for this, but the one that came to mind is one of the ones that came to mind was the one where it's like all the ideas people are on the board table. What if I actually used my own style of Rakugo? Throw them out the window.
Some difficult pills to swallow.
Right, exactly.
Sukeroku found his own style of Rakugo. It just wasn't the style of Rakugo that you guys were comfortable
it just wasn't your Rakugo. Jeez.
So that's
be yourself. No, but be anyone but yourself.
Right, exactly. This is something that I've seen multiple times in real life, is that there are a lot of people who will have a specific talent that they'll be quite good at. In fact, in the Ultimate Frisbee scene, I know quite a few people who are really good at Ultimate Frisbee. And in some ways, this is something where I'm kind of, because it's a team sport thing versus a stage performance thing where it's a one-person show, essentially.
Right.
Because it's a one-person show, it's different. In a team sport thing, there is this very real dynamic of where you have the asshole who's very good at what they do, and they get kind of Kageyama'd, essentially.
Right.
In this case, though, you don't have a team sport. You have one person doing a specific thing.
Yep.
And one of the things I would say that's really cool when you have a performer that's kind of off doing their own thing in a style that doesn't incorporate any others to be involved in it, I would say usually you can have something like that. I'm guessing it's not unheard of. But I think it would kind of defeat the point of showcasing the skill of an individual if they could do all the voices versus splitting it down too.
Sure.
Is that you can kind of let them be their own wild attraction. You don't have to feel like you're compromising the unity of an entire industry because one person does it a slightly different way. Now, from a business sense, you end up marketing to two different audiences that way.
Oh, yeah.
Would it basically start to turn off one from the other? Maybe. But in terms of bringing in more people...
It's an untapped market.
Yeah. That's something I feel like makes perfect sense. But again, this is tradition versus progress.
Exactly. And we can't have the odd man out, the black sheep of the family, become the one put up on a pedestal.
Yeah, I understand that from a tradition standpoint. In fact, I would say that's not something I'm as particularly kind of surprised about or even against in that way. It's more of the thing of where he took it so personally that he wouldn't advance him or even just like allow him to stay in this regard.
Yeah, because in a lot of ways, like if you have the person that's the exception that's more popular, that becomes like the sort of the defining, this is the defining standard for Rakugo.
For a clan. Again, not for Rakugo, but for a clan.
Yeah. Well, although if he became Yakumo, wouldn't that... No?
That's not like the god of all Rakugo. Japan is a country. Like who's the president then?
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah,
it's an association. Yakumo is a name.
Right.
There's the Rakugo Association. That's its own like council members. It's like the Jedi Council.
Yeah.
You're on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
But isn't it like what? Isn't it considered to be like the ultimate grandmaster champion kind of a thing?
No, it's the highest title, I would say, in terms of like progression.
Right.
But I would assume.
But there's only one Yakumo, right?
I think that's just because it's a family name. It's literally because his name, like.
Okay.
Like, maybe I'm wrong, but I would say that it would feel a little bit ridiculous if you're telling me that there's only one line of Rakugo trainers.
No, not that there's one line of Rakugo trainers, but that there's only one person at the very, very top, and they are apparently get to decide who the next person is. Or as long as the council is in agreement with it, I guess.
Yeah, again, I don't really see it that way. I see it more of the thing of where it's like he can only choose of the Yakumo of his apprentices. Like, he can't go to some other group and be like, I am looking for the next Yakumo. Who, wouldn't they then assemble all the Shinuchi of, the entire area?
Well, I think it's because of the tradition thing. But I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but,
I think the way he talks about it in the episode, he makes multiple points of, I won't give you my name, I won't give you my name, my name. It's like it's specifically like a family son, father-son passing down the yoke of responsibility, basically. And it's not something where they then have the final say on all this. It might be because they're in Tokyo,
Sure.
Where it's like this is the head Yakumo of all others or what have you.
Sure. Well, hence the whole thing of this is a family 7th generation Yakumo, all that stuff.
Right, but even then, he, our current Yakumo here, has to beg the council in order to do a thing. So he is not the head of Rakugo.
No.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Okay.
But if he's the the whatever, the performer most on a pedestal or whatever, I don't know. And I could be totally wrong.
The council performs as well. They still do, they still do performances and stuff. They're just older, so they, are more on the organizational level.
Okay. Well, as far as the rest of the episode, and not, just theorizing and stuff about whatnot, because who knows which of us is right? We'll check later. But the stuff with Miyokichi and Tsukuroku in particular absolutely ripped my heart out, because the idea that they're both trying to forget, they both have a lot of pain, and yet they both can't help but remember the good old days, right? Which of course is not what the other person wants, right? And it's it's this idea of them both trying to basically carve out their own little stake of happiness, right? In this world that's changing and everything, and yet it's just going about it in just the wrong way, but the only way they feel they have before themselves.
Yep.
And it's just it breaks your heart.
Yep. What I really like about this is how similar they are in this situation. They are both looking to move on and forget.
Right.
They both end up turning to someone that is extremely close to the person that they're trying to move on from in a lot of ways.
Right.
They both end up essentially bringing up the things that they're wanting to forget because of the interactions of the other person who is also not able to forget. You can see where this spirals out and they don't end up happy together.
Right. It's something where this is why it's opposites attract, because they're incredibly similar. but they're not, because of that, they're not complementary, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a definitional thing, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in the case of, say, Yakumo or Kiku, it was something where for both of them, they were very much complementary, but because they were also so different, there was a lot of conflict that was brought about because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the conflict ended up winning out in the end. They weren't able to resolve it. So now, jeez.
Yeah. Oh, just little things like him being like, hey, could you not talk about Kiku while you're on top of me?
Yeah.
Or just the thing of where she's just asking, will you stop thinking about Rakugo?
Right.
And him basically, in some ways, like this is what's really sad, I would say, is that she kind of seems to be kind of spinning it that she's, for the most part, enjoying this, but you can see like multiple times where she kind of just is more just enjoying the attention. But then there's a clear point towards the latter half where Sukeroku doesn't even really want this. Like, maybe it's implied they kind of had sex or what have you, but I don't see him as even being that really interested, other than it being a distraction, because then when he's lying here on top of her, he just looks sad.
Yeah, well, yeah, they both are, but she puts on the mask in she goes into her performer mode, right?
Sure.
As a way of forgetting about it, basically. But then she still says the whole thing of if you make me forget, then I'll never mention him again, right? The idea that I haven't forgotten, and yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
So Kanatsu is on her way.
Yep.
Which means we still have some time skips to go before we get to where this all ends. And then we have Sukeroku coming to say goodbye.
Yeah, like, oh man.
Him like hiding in the shadows here.
Well, and the way, one of the things that really ripped my heart out this episode that wasn't as like prominently focused or displayed, I would say, is how much colder Yakumo's gotten. Because because it was shown when the jerk of a journalist or whatever came by, and I loved how he handled that and stuff. But then even when Sukeroku comes here, he's like, oh, I'm not going to give you any more money. I'm not going to all these things where basically he's kind of assuming the worst, when Sukeroku really probably just wanted to see him again because this is going to be the last time and to say goodbye. And it's like, oh man, Because it's clear to see where Sukeroku and Miyokichi are not doing well, right? But for Yakumo, because everything's going well for him, right?
Yeah.
Except for maybe the part where he begs his master of, please give, I won't accept it. Please give the Yakumo title to Sukeroku, reinstate him and all that stuff. That's where you kind of see the cracks come in, but it just sucks that he can't show those cracks when he's around the people that need it most. And that he needs to show the cracks to the most. Yeah.
And then that bit where he basically realizes that he's leaving Tokyo, that he's going to have the baby with Miyokichi.
Yeah.
Then he gets all flustered and he's like, wait, what about, becoming, Yakumo? What about Rakugo? What about inheriting the Yakumo name? And he's just like, you can have it.
Like, he's so defeated.
Yeah. You're his precious little boy, after all.
And that I did not expect, but, it makes a lot of sense.
God, there's these little moments there where you'll see the masks of the characters drop for a little bit.
Yep.
And you'll realize how much frustration there is between relationships here, and it's not so simple. But yeah. And then he breaks down and cries about how he was a stray dog he took in, not an apprentice like you. And then he forces himself away. Now, we shift over into adult, older Yakumo.
Yeah.
Talking and saying, I'd always looked at his back in aspiration, but now I wanted to kick it, cling to it, pound on his shoulders.
Yep.
And so he does. He says, do whatever you want. Just don't give up on Rakugo. And he says, I don't know what to do. So what I see here is when a guy who has led such a cavalier, gallivanting kind of life stares at a wall after coming back to his best friend's place to say goodbye, but then doesn't really say goodbye. Just kind of goes, I don't know what to do. This is a cry for help.
Oh, yeah.
And right here, this is the stuff where Konatsu probably is referring to, you killed him. Because whatever comes next, they don't end up running alongside each other after this.
Like,
he goes out to the country or what have you, probably has the kid, and probably gives up on Rakugo. Or in some ways, maybe he does do Rakugo, and he does it over the radio, and he does it, and this is where all the records and stuff come from. This is where all that extra things, come from there. Yeah. But it's just the fact that he's not doing his Rakugo, maybe. Maybe it's that he's doing it and he doesn't get to be with Kiku-san anymore. Maybe it's, who knows, but whatever it is, that's at this point where, because of how cold, Kiku is, I don't think he can really help.
Well,
I don't think he can even really be there for Sukeroku.
And yet, this is the moment. Now, we know, because we've seen the future, right?
Yes.
We know that it's not going to work out. But if it were to work out, if fate were to be changed, it would be changed right here.
Yep.
It would be changed right here. Because Kiku is being vulnerable, Sukeroku's been vulnerable, and now they're actually communicating, hopefully, and then maybe we can have a happy ending, right?
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen, and it sucks. And now thinking about what season 2 will most likely be like, in present day, all that stuff, with all this stuff as a backdrop. Oh my god, like it's going to keep hurting. Like, ugh, yeah.
I'm experiencing a strange phenomenon with all these characters where I am in love with them, and I have emotionally cut myself off from them.
Oh, because kind of what's going to happen, so you're not getting invested in the conflict. Because
I love these characters, but I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to deal with their drama. I don't. I really don't.
Hearing this bit from Sukeroku at the end really blindsided me because. Yeah, so
which part?
Our family took in some boys. The part where he talks about how he was just a stray dog and all that stuff.
Oh, sure.
And they were family, they were brothers.
Yeah.
Over time they all ended up leaving and just
Yeah. Letting their lives fall apart.
Yeah. Losing their way, right?
Losing their way, yeah.
And it's something where I always wonder, like, why, right? And was there anything that we could have done differently or better or whatever? What was it like for them to be in this situation? I can't know, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that I never would have expected Sukeroku to say this. I was just a stray dog you took in, not an apprentice like you. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it must have been like for Sukeroku, right? Because because that is the exact opposite of what I would have expected him to say. The exact opposite. And yet apparently it's something he's been holding inside for, his whole life. But,
yeah. Yo. It's a painful show.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction of Discussion and Pain, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access. So you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. You can also talk with Jacob about the book that he wrote.
That's right. So I wrote a sci-fi novel called Battle Lines. It's available for purchase on Amazon in ebook and hardbacks, whichever works best for you. Links in the description. Go check it out. It's a good book.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.